Hi, it's Lauren, and today I am starting off with showing you the 5 cards I'm going to be showing in this video. It is a little long, but there are 5 different ideas I have if you are into making tags. So I hope you enjoy this video. I have this little box of tags that I have collected over the years. These are mostly from Studio Calico kits that I bought, oh my gosh, feels like hundreds of years ago now. But I would say probably longer than that, 7 years ago? I don't know. Before Abigail was born, and she's 6, so 6.5, so it had to have been 7 or 8 years. But these are just tags I'm sure you can find anywhere, even on Amazon or in like a Staples or, like a paper place. What's called? Paper stores? I don't even know. But they're tags. You can find them anywhere. You can make them yourself. You can die cut them. You can punch them. However you make your traditional dies. And this first die was actually, I think, from the dollar bins at Target, who knows how many Halloweens ago. But you could use an owl die cut or a punch or something to replicate a tag like this. I know you could probably find an SVG file and cut it out on a cutter. And I'm just looking through some ephemera I have in my Halloween stash, and I like this little trick or treat speech bubble. And I also have this little hexagon tag that I think came from an old paper pumpkin box that I, purchased and made a long time ago. But these are just simple shapes. You can replicate them however you like. And I'm distressing the edge of my owl because I wanted to give it some color and dimension. And I'm using my silk in dark roast to put a little bit of splatter. And once that is dry, well, actually I did heat it up with my heat gun because I'm impatient and I wanted to keep going, but you can let it dry. And then I spritzed it with a water spritzer. Sorry, it was a little out of frame there. And I heated it up again to have it dry. So now that it's ready, I'm gonna start layering. I like that little white tag or white hexagon and the little trick or treat bubble. And I'm adding some orange washi tape. And I already have some critters cut out from Pick of the Patch from Fawn. So I'm just going to be using some pumpkins and squirrels that I've already cut and colored and die cut out. Or I guess it's already said that, huh? I colored and then die cut out. And I'm using my dimensionals to add some layer to the trick or treat as well as the squirrel and the pumpkin. And I'm just putting them right on the tag with a cute little jack-o'-lantern face. And I thought this would be a cute beginner, first tag to my little bunch of tags that I'm making. I guess I should tell you why I'm making tags. I am a part of a swap where we are supposed to make at least 5 tags to trade with one other person on just making some fun Halloween themed tags. This is a scrapbooking group, even though I don't really scrapbook. But that people can use in their scrapbooks or maybe just as a decoration piece. Depending on what I get, maybe I'll put them on some cards. So we'll see. I've never participated in this type of swap before, so I'm excited. So this tag I have is a large kind of cream color tag, and it's been distressed with a wood grain embossing. And it is a little cracked, but that gives it some distress look, right? And I distress with some brown and orange distress. Oh my goodness, orange and brown Tim Holtz Distress Oxides to give it some color. And I'm putting on more washi tape and another pumpkin and squirrel. So even though this is a separate tag, I wanted it to kind of go with the first tag. So you can either use them together or, keep them separate, however the person who receives these, up to what they would like to do. And I did some more dark roast splatter and used my heat gun to dry that because, again, I'm an impatient crafter. So that is tag 1.5, I guess. Maybe 2, 1.5. So now I have these 2 green tags, and I decided that I wanted to make a shaker tag. So I'm taking a piece of acetate and just marking approximately where I needed to cut my acetate. So I'm actually cutting inside those lines because I marked it bigger than the actual window. And I'm using some strong double-sided sticky tape to hold that acetate in place. And I'm going to go around just outside the edge of this window here and pull this up and place the acetate on that. So that will be the front of my shaker tag. And then I'm going to put my foam tape, which is just a Scotch foam tape roll, and I doubled it up by just folding over the piece in half, and then I trimmed that in half, and I went around to make sure that it would fit along that window I created without interfering the shaker. Like you couldn't see the foam sticking out when the front of the shaker is on the back side. And I'm just putting that around all four sides to make sure I don't lose any shaker bits that I'm going to put in there. And I have this anti-static baby powder tool from, I believe it's EK Tools, and I just went around to make sure that nothing sticky was on the sides, and acetate is kind of staticky, so I also went over the acetate. And I put some of these bat sequins that I found in dollar bins at Target, and they were really staticky to each other, so I also put a little bit of the anti-static powder. And I'm just putting in a mix of different sequins and little bits and bobs from who makes all those shaker cards? Why is that name escaping me? Queen & Company. So I have a bunch of little shaker bits from Queen & Company that I put in there as well, and those really pretty holographic stars that I cannot tell you where I got them. They probably were in a kit and left over, or maybe they're an old Studio Calico. I have a lot of things that I just haven't used. So I put in some of those really pretty stars, and I am going around with glue on my foam to give me that, few seconds of wiggle room to make sure my frame for my shaker is hidden with that foam tape is hidden. And I think it's so cool to have this little shaker tag. Now I wanted to decorate it more, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, so I thought maybe I would put one of my pumpkins. So I did stamp it with a jack-o'-lantern face, and then I remembered I had this really cute vinyl sticker ghosts that were also from Target dollar bins, and I thought it would be really cute in front. So I trimmed them down to fit just on the bottom of that card. Again, it's like a washi tape, but it's like a vinyl sticker. It's really cool. And I was gonna put that pumpkin, but then it covered so many of the ghosts, and I didn't like that. So I decided that I was just gonna leave it at that. There was a lot of fun, bright, colorful elements because of the shaker bits inside, so I thought it was cute as is. Now for my third tag, I have this large gray tag, and I was thinking of layering it with this white tag, but I decided that I really liked this paper that I had from an old pack and with these really pretty poppies, and so I cut that out using a rectangle die that would fit the size of the gray tag. But I didn't pay attention, and I cut my flowers sideways. And because I didn't want to waste the paper, because I don't know why, I don't like wasting paper, I was like, well, I'll just rotate it and change what I had in mind. So it's going to cover just part of the tag, and I'm using the Pick of the Patch Happy Halloween sentiment, and I stamped it in Versamark ink, and I'm using some white embossing powder to emboss the sentiment Happy Halloween on the tag. And of course I forgot to use my anti-static tool, but it wasn't too bad, and I just used a brush to wipe off any excess powder, and I'm using my heat gun to go ahead and heat up that sentiment and emboss it. Now I'm going to glue that pretty pattern paper onto my tag, and I'm just going to trim off those edges that come off the tag. And I thought it looked pretty good, even though it wasn't exactly what I was planning, but it still turned out really cute. And I have this holographic spider, oh my goodness. It's not a holograph, that would be weird. Why can't I think of the word? It's got that like opalescent look to it, and of the spider webs. So it's this black washi tape with these shiny spider webs. And then I have these doilies from Stampin' Up! A few years ago that I have just been holding onto. I hate using them, which is so silly. I have them because I love them so much, but then because I love them so much, I don't want to use them. But I thought it would look really cute on top of this tag, so I trimmed it down to fit, and of course I accidentally covered my sentiment, but it's okay, you know what it says. And I'm going to layer that pumpkin I had previously decided to not put on the green tag here on this one. And I used about 5 black jewels, and the gray still looked a little plain to me. So I'm using that star from the same Pick of the Patch set and going around with black ink and just adding some stars to the gray. And I think that really helped fill in the tag more. So that is tag number 3. Now for the 4th tag, I wanted to make another interactive tag. So I'm using this orange tag. Oh my goodness, I'm saying tag a lot in this video, but it is a video about tags, so I'm gonna be saying tag. And I decided that I wanted to make a slider, but I wasn't really sure what I was doing. So first off, I did the die wrong here. That long metal piece is supposed to be off the paper, and I put it on the paper. So my tag has to be trimmed because it's too long. And the little pull tab piece that you die cut, so you have your, your actual fingers pull it, it's going to be a little smaller than that opening, but it's okay. You can't really tell. But just remember that that is not supposed to be on top of the paper. It's supposed to line up to the edge of the paper. So I trim those little openings with my die cut machine, and one of the tags I have a pumpkin. And I want a clear piece of acetate to be in between these pieces to pull down a jack-o'-lantern face. So the pumpkin will be plain, I guess you could say, when the pull tab is inside of my tag. And when you pull it out, a jack-o'-lantern face appears. So I can't do that with a traditional pull tab because it's supposed to glue something on the outside, and this is all going to be on the inside of the tag. So I'm going to do kind of that double slider kind of style card, but it's only going to be one slider. It's a single slider card. And so I cut a piece of that extra green tag that I cut out to make my shaker card, and I trimmed it so it will fit in between the pumpkin hole on my tag and the top of my tag hole where you normally put string, and slightly less wider than the tag because you need room to put the foam tape. And so I'm cutting this little piece down, and I cut a piece of plastic bag to fit around it, and it's not too wide that it won't interfere with that double-sided sticky tape that you need to put onto the tag to keep it in place. So I trim that down, and I'm gonna fold over the plastic bag, and there's another piece of double-sided sticky tape to keep that bag wrapped around this little green piece of paper. And that is what I'm going to adhere my acetate to. And I'm also using another strong piece of double-sided sticky tape, and I'm gonna put that onto the seam of my little slider, and it works great. And that will hide just behind the tag, and I can pull down an image and I can be able to see it. So here is where I made a mistake, but I'm still going to show it to you. So in order to see where my jack-o'-lantern face is going to be, I stamped a little bit of Versamark on there, so that way I could slightly see and pull it without ruining my acetate, and can see where the face is going to go. And I thought, well, since I have it on with Versamark, why don't I emboss it? So I put embossing powder on it, took my heat gun, and then immediately melted my plastic bag. I was like, oh, duh, Lauren, that's not how that works. So I had to cut my little plastic bag, and I cut the acetate down, and I tried again, but this time I'm going to use StazOn, much easier. So I only have a brown StazOn ink pad. My black one is who knows where. So I'm using brown ink to stamp my sentiment. And then I noticed that my slider isn't tall enough that my face is actually going to be visible if I want it to slide down to the middle, or it won't be visible because the slider piece is so thin. But then I realized that I have a die cut that will hide that little, like the little stalk of the pumpkin. So it's okay if I lower it enough that you can see the little green peeking where the stalk opening is. But it is enough room to where if I pull it down, the jack-o'-lantern is in the middle of the pumpkin, so I'm going with it. Next, I'm cutting the little holder to keep my piece of acetate for the slider in place, and I'm just using that double-sided sticky tape again to keep that in place. I want it to be strong and will hold up to, being pulled multiple times. So now that everything is in place, I'm doing the same thing where I fold my foam tape in half, and I'm trimming it down to make sure it will fit around my mechanism without interfering with it. I don't want anything to get stuck. I also noticed that this one is a little thinner on the side, so I trim my tape a little more, and I'm just going around the tag to make sure that it's even and will have enough support when I put it together. So I'm pulling off all the release tape, adding a little bit of wet glue to give myself some wiggle time, and I'm placing that backside of the slider tag on the back. And hooray, it works, it's great. I push the tag in and trim off I push the slider in and trim off that extra acetate. And now I'm going to use that same pretty paper and cut out my little tab cover. So I'm gluing that down, and of course my glue doesn't want to come out and then too much comes out. And I fold that over the edge of my acetate. And I actually cut out the arrow off of the same paper. There's a little like 1/2 inch where the paper rips out of the pack and has a different design, and I use that to cut out the little arrow. And I love that you slide it up and you can't see the jack-o'-lantern face, and when you slide it down you can. So then I realized that I totally cut out my pumpkin with the wrong die. Oh, but it's okay. The pumpkin I am going to cut out will cover the hole and it will work out. As you can see right here, and there's my hand saying, yay, it still worked. So I used the reveal wheel add-on for the pumpkin to cut basically the border of my pumpkin. And so I didn't color it super well because you barely are going to see anything. And I used my tiny glue pen to add glue around the pumpkin. And I realized that I should not put glue on the stock because the stock will touch the acetate and I don't want it to get stuck. So you'll see I pulled it back a little bit and added my embossing tool, which is made of baby powder, and it will it'll not take away the stickiness, but it will balance out the stickiness because there's powder on it now. And that way my stock doesn't get stuck to the acetate, and it worked out fine. So now my little tag looks sad. It looks lonely. That little pumpkin is lonely. So I decided to cut 4 more pumpkins out, and I colored them using my Letraset markers, and I'm going to use my die cut to cut out these 4 pumpkins. And I am going to randomly place them on the tag, and it looks so much better. It looks like he's not so lonely anymore. And so I'm going to trim these down and glue them in various spots around the tag. It is a very orange tag. I thought maybe I should have added some silk, some splatter in the background, maybe in brown or purple or something to contrast, the orange of the pumpkins. But at the end, it's still really cute and still a fun interactive tag that you can, pull, and it's fun. It's acetate, so it's like this cute little surprise of the jack-o'-lantern face. So now that I have all my pumpkins glued down, I'm just trimming off anything that is on the excess, and I pull my tag a few times because I'm excited about it and that it worked out, because I was a little worried there. This tag was, when I melted that plastic bag, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And for the last tag, I decided to keep it simple and a larger tag to close out my little group, and I'm distressing this kind of manila color tag with my distress oxides, and I'm using 2 different shades of green, and I'm gonna round that out with a shade of brown. And I'll have all of the inks I used linked down in the description, so if you're curious and want to reproduce any of these tags yourself, I will provide you with anything that I can. I do use a lot from my stash because I have so much Halloween stuff that I don't use, but anything that you can still purchase, I will link below so you can find it. So now that my tag is distressed, I'm using some Fun Stampers Journey silks in black and orange and whipped cream white. And I also splattered some of their clear sparkle silk, and I also sprayed some water in my hand and flicked on kind of larger, not raindrops, it's not raining, just large water drops. And I heat gun that to dry my tag. And just like that ghost kind of vinyl tape, I also have these bat vinyl tapes, and I put that on the edge. I originally thought of maybe adding some more of the doily to this tag, but then I remembered I had these fun stickers from Paper Source that kind of have that, I want to say holographic again. Maybe that is the right word. You know what? I'm thinking hologram. It's not a hologram. They are holographic, right? This is holographic. These really cute dancing skeletons, and I put those on, and I thought I would use these fun kind of chipboard letters that were also a Target find, and I was gonna write out the word boo. These stickers are not sticky. They're kind of terrible, but they're still cute. So I'm gonna add some glue to the back, and I'm just gonna do my best to center the word boo on top of the skeletons and above these bats. And I think it turned out really cute. It was kind of the simple one of the group, but I think after having 2 interactive dies and, some cutesy characters, this tag was a little bit different. So hopefully the recipient of these tags, at least one of them, is something that they will use in a scrapbook or on a card or however they're gonna plan to use these tags. And that is my final tag, and I'm so excited for this little group of tags, so let's go through them again, not so quickly. Oh, wait, I forgot I put on twine and ribbon. Just kidding. Okay, so to wrap up these tags, I'm gonna use these 2 little tassels from Stampin' Up! In a gray and black, kind of like a baker's twine, but it's not twine. It's more that like floss you would use to make friendship bracelets. And I have these different baker's twines in Halloween inspired colors, and I'm just cutting some twine. And I'm gonna layer these 3 pieces together to tie a bow around this slip ring. And I run it through, and I'm gonna just tie a knot and then tie just a simple bow. And they're all different kind of lengths, so I'm gonna trim them down to be different lengths. I kind of like that they're staggered. It doesn't, not perfect. When you think of Halloween, I don't think you think of nice clean edges. So trim those down, and then I have this really pretty lace trim that I'm just gonna tie around into a slip knot on the top, in between those tassels and the twine. Okay, so now let's walk through all my tags in regular speed. So here is my twine and my pretty lace trim and the fun little tassels. And I really like the different elements that are on this slip ring. And here is my first tag and a half. I have the owl and then this wood green tag underneath, and I think they look so pretty layered together or separate. I have my fun shaker car with all those fun little bits and elements inside. Next is just a cute Halloween with those pretty flowers and a jack-o'-lantern. We have our jack-o'-lantern slider with all the orange pumpkins for a tone-on-tone look. And my final dancing skeleton with green and the word boo. And here is a picture of the final tags. I have more views on my Instagram, so head over there to see each of the tags individually. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to hit like if you've enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more from me, hit subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.